Just calm down, folks. Just calm down.
And welcome to the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. I'm Barry Besse, along with my son, Carson. We do this podcast every Thursday, a little later for us tonight, as Carson was playing a little flag football. And how'd you do?
I did fine. I got a couple catches, so that's better. That's pretty good. I only had one drop, and then you know what? Their team won the game, so we can't complain. We'll take it. It's like 2 points. We got 2 points in the standings.
You got 2 points in the standings. Good. So that's why we're on a little bit later tonight, but we're always here on Thursdays. You can catch us live on Facebook, and I'm going to go to the Facebook page right now to see if anybody is on and ready to talk. We're also live on our YouTube channel, Best Boys Center Ice Podcast on YouTube. We love for you to join us there and sign up and follow us and become a subscriber on YouTube.
We need the support.
And somebody's watching already. Jamie's watching. Hi, Jamie, our Washington Capitals member of the family. She is watching tonight. I'm sure she's got something to say. The Caps are on the outside looking in. They need to, play.
They're in DC for a couple of games this weekend. They're going to 2 Caps games this weekend.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, they're going to tomorrow's game. I think they play New Jersey tomorrow, and then they play Colorado on Sunday.
That's exciting. Well, if you're not familiar with what we do here, for 3 seasons now, we've been doing the podcast here at the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. Carson's follows his favorite team, the Pittsburgh Penguins, 5-time Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins, and I follow my team, the 5-time Stanley Cup champion Edmonton Oilers. So we got that combination. We're always hoping that it'll be going to be an Edmonton-Pittsburgh Stanley Cup final to get that 6th one. Somebody is going to get that 6th. Yeah. It's kind of like Kobe and Shaq. Who's going to get that next one up on the other one? So we do that. You can catch us on our TikTok pages. But this is where we talk about the week that was for both of our teams and the NHL. And as we get into the stretch run, I want to go over some scenarios for playoffs that have.
It's just ridiculous right now. It's.
But let's. Do you want to start with how things are going out in Pittsburgh?
Let's maybe switch it up and do maybe the playoff push stuff, because I mean that's the precedent right now, I think.
Okay, so the playoffs within a month. It's like 16.
Yeah, games. Yesterday was a 1 month mark. The 18th. It's April 18th is night 1. So the playoffs.
So let's take a look at. Okay, what I want to do is take a look at the playoffs as if they were to be right now, and then I want to take a look also before we get to the Penguins and the Oilers, the bottom 4 teams, and who really needs that number 1 pick in the draft coming up. Okay, so the current playoff matches. Let's start with the Eastern Conference, and this is always going to be a surprise to me. The number 1 seed is the Buffalo Sabres. They would take on the Boston Bruins. So in that, I don't have a problem with saying Buffalo going to win that one.
Yeah, that would be a good series, actually. That'd be a really good series. I think that could be a 7-gamer.
I think it would go long, but I think it's
I think Buffalo's just got some kind of roll going. I mean, they're winning like all the time. I mean, I feel like they've lost twice in the last 5 months. Yeah. They're not losing right now. They're playing with fire. They have far exceeded expectations, but if they keep doing what they're doing, they're not going to lose.
No. And then the next would be the Tampa Bay Lightning against the Montreal Canadiens. And that one could be a toss-up. I want to
give the edge to Tampa Bay just because they're Tampa Bay. Then they have Vasilevsky, but Montreal's been playing well too. I mean, that's another long series.
Yeah, that's going to be another long series. I want to give this one to Montreal. I don't know, just got something. Cole Caulfield, and I think Suzuki, and that once they get going, I think but it's going to be a tough series. That could go 7. That one right there.
Yeah.
And then Carolina Hurricanes against who is going to be the number 2 spot in the wild card, the Detroit Red Wings. Now, Carolina is great, and I don't think Detroit has what it takes to beat Carolina in a 7-game series.
No, I don't either. As much as I really don't care for watching Carolina, yeah, I agree. I think they're just they're too good for the early rounds. It's hard to play against them, really. I mean, that's going to be that could be a longer series too. That could be a 6-gamer probably, but yeah, I think Carolina's got it.
Like, I think Detroit will be there eventually, but they're just not quite there.
They've been like right there for the past few seasons, and they just kind of fall apart at the wrong time. I don't know.
And then the one that I know, interested in, the Pittsburgh Penguins would have
freaking Islanders,
the New York Islanders. Now, we were just talking about the Islanders.
Yeah.
How they gave up a lead with 10 seconds.
Yeah, with 12 seconds left, Senators just beat. So I mean, that's a big game for the Metro race for second and third and the wild card race, because you've got 5 teams bunched up, or 6 teams bunched up that can take 5 spots. The teams Boston, Detroit, New York, Pittsburgh, Montreal, and Detroit. And Ottawa's right out there. So you got 7 teams really going for 6 spots. And Ottawa just beat the Islanders, scoring with 12 seconds left in regulation to take the lead and win. And that's a brutal loss for the Islanders, because they now are going to be 1 point back of Pittsburgh with 1 more game played. So if the Penguins win on Saturday against the Jets, they're 3 points up with the same amount of games played, and those 2 teams play each other next week.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be an important game, much like it is for the other teams. Detroit, Boston really can't afford to lose if they are grab points. The Islanders Pittsburgh series, if it stays that way, I'm nervous about, because I told Dad before we went live, I think the Islanders just have some kind of voodoo magic luck going on right now, because it seems like every good bounce that could go their way goes their way. They're winning games with like 14, 15 shots on goal, and then the other team's getting 40 plus and they're winning. It's just I feel like they have just that kind of luck right now. And they're a good team, don't get me wrong, but they're just getting all the breaks, and sometimes it's what you need, honestly. But that would be a very intense series. I think you've got 2 teams that weren't probably supposed to be in at all playing each other, and basically who's going to be battling it out with probably Carolina to take the Metro. I don't want to say the Metro title, but who's going to be the king. I think all these series really in the East could be long ones, besides really the Carolina Detroit one. And I don't want to underestimate the Wings. I think the Canes just play so. It makes me crazy how structured they play defensively, where I think it does screw them the longer they go in the playoffs, because they try so hard to out defense. But yeah, that's going to be, if that's Islanders Pittsburgh, that's going to be a good series. It'd also be kind of neat too eventually if they looked at the 1v8 1 through 8 format again. But yeah, for right now, you're still going to have some pretty interesting playoff series in the East that we haven't seen in a long while now.
Well, I'm going to put my money on Pittsburgh for this one. Just to come back.
They've been playing really well. I mean, they've been playing phenomenal.
They get everybody together. I think Pittsburgh's going to take this one. I don't think the Islanders' luck is going to go up.
I think it's going to come down to special teams, because the Penguins' special teams have been really good all season. If they can wear down that Islanders team like that, that's going to be hard to beat them, because 5-on-5, the Penguins have gotten better as the season's gotten on, but their bread and butter at the beginning was special teams, and that's why they were winning games. Now their 5-on-5 has caught fire, and that's why they're winning games or grabbing points. They just need to bring it all together. And now Sid's back, which I'll talk about later. They've got a pretty much healthy roster minus Blake Lizotte. But the Islanders too have Matthew Schaefer, who's been kicking butt. I mean, they've got something going on there too.
Yeah. Now let's move on to the Western Conference. And if you look at this on paper, you would automatically say Colorado sweep. Colorado Avalanche against the Seattle Kraken. Yep, that's going to be the number 1 team against the number 8 team in the West. But I think I'm seeing some holes, some cracks in Colorado.
Lately, yes. They got off that hot start, and then they kind of slowed down a little bit. They're remarkably, somehow, some way, they have the 29th ranked power play right now.
With all
they have a horrible power play.
Yeah.
It's like what happened to, I don't like having to talk about, or not like having to, but I always bring up the Penguins, but they had the 30 or 31st ranked power play 2 seasons ago, and they had Sid, Gino, Carlson on the power play, and you're 31st or 30th in the league.
Yeah.
Like that I couldn't believe it how low the Avalanche power play is. They got to find that, get that going. But I agree. I think they're just too good of a team. They push the pace in pretty much every game they play. And Seattle, as much as they are a hungry team, they're a young team. I just don't think they have enough to keep up. They might win a game or two, but they just don't have enough to sustain it.
No, I think they'll win a game or two, but not going to beat Colorado. Colorado, I don't know. But the next round after that, because the next round it's going to be
a bloodbath.
Dallas Stars against the Minnesota Wild.
Which a lot of people are complaining about that.
About what?
That matchup, because of how good both of those teams are, and they're going to have to play each other right away.
Because that's the second C2 and C3.
So
the second and third place teams in the Central Division.
Out of all the divisions, this is definitely the division that has the most on the line for winning it. Because if you win the division, you play a wild card team. But if you don't, right now, the way it's looking, Dallas and Minnesota are going to have to duke each other out to see who's going to move on to play the Avalanche, probably. Yeah. But otherwise, that's the most important division to win right now out of them all. Easy is that Central, because those 3 teams are each in the top 6 teams right now, and they're gonna, one of them's gonna be gone in round 1, guaranteed.
Yeah, it's sad to see, but it's it's the way that
it's the way the league works.
Yeah. Now I said, and I think I was gonna talk about it later. I think Dallas is a better team right now than Colorado.
Yeah, I think just lately. I mean, Dallas just had a 15-game point streak that just broke the other day. But I mean, yeah, they've been playing well at the right time, minus Hintz and Rantanen both, actually. The only thing that really worries me, as much as we both love him, is Otter, because it seems like Otter's just kind of fallen off his game at points a little bit. But that, I mean, last year I thought Dallas had no chance against them, and they proved everybody wrong and got them. I think the Avalanche right now are not falling apart. They're falling apart at the wrong time. Yeah. They're playing bad at the wrong time. They started off so good, and then they just kind of have slowed down and regressed. And it might be a worry for their fans, for their coaching staff, but they gotta win the division. Honestly, win the division. You get that round buffer. You got to play your game, though, because Seattle could easily beat them if they fall off of it. They beat them in their first ever playoff series a few years ago. Yeah. But yeah, Dallas, Minnesota. I think Minnesota. I love Minnesota. They're a good team. I think if any year is their year to do something, it's this year, because of what they did getting Quinn Hughes. I still just think they're short. They're short of doing it. I look at the Minnesota Wild, and I just don't see the Stanley Cup champion team.
Not yet, but I see Dallas taking this one, but it's going to be a long series.
Yeah,
against Minnesota. Moving on, the Anaheim Ducks against the wild card number 1, the Utah Mammoth.
That would be a really fun series.
That's going to be good because both young teams, both teams that haven't been. Well, Utah's never been to the playoffs as Utah, anyways, and Anaheim's new to this whole first place in the Pacific. That's going to be a good game. That could be an upset. That could be Utah winning that one.
I think Utah wins it. I like Lucas Dostal for Anaheim, but I just look at Utah's team, and I think they just got top to bottom a really structured team. They've got a fiery team, a hungry team. They have some guys on the roster with some playoff experience. Sergachev's won a couple Stanley Cups. Nate Schmidt won a Stanley Cup, or been to the Stanley Cup Finals, I should say, with Washington or with Vegas. And he won the Cup with Florida last year, actually. Sorry. And, Clayton Keller, those kind of guys. I don't know, discredit to Anaheim. Anaheim's got a really good team. But I think Utah's I think they'll be able to get by. I think they'll be able to get by.
I think that's going to be one of the.
That'll be a long series, though, too. I think that could be a 7-game.
Yeah.
One.
Now, the last one is right now setting up would be the Edmonton Oilers against the Vegas Golden Knights. Again, they played last year in the second round, and the Oilers won that one. Now, that Pacific Division is so
it's stacked.
It is the weakest division of the 4, definitely.
It is, but it's not at the same time.
Yeah, it's still like right now. The Oilers are playing Florida. They're losing 2-0 after 1, but they're a point out of first and a point ahead of Vegas. So those three teams, I think, when you look down, Seattle's, I think, 7 points out of
6. They're 6
points.
six back of Edmonton. They've got 2 games. They got 2 games in hand though, and they're playing.
So I
right
think Edmonton, Anaheim, and Vegas will be the 1, 2, 3. It just depends on where they go. But in this scenario, it's Edmonton against Vegas. I just don't think Vegas is as good as they have been. I think there's definitely some holes, some cracks. The Oilers got them the other day. Other teams are getting them. I think Vegas is kind of fallen off. They've lost some players that they won the cup with. They've lost some really good players. I just think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Oilers fan, but I think Edmonton should take this one. It's going to be close. It's not going to be an easy walkover, but it's going to be interesting not seeing the LA Kings against the Oilers in the first round for the first time in 4 or 5 years. But I think Vegas is still a good team, but I think they're not as good as they have been. And I think the Oilers would take this one. It's going to be 6 games probably.
I'm sorry, you're not going to like this, but I think Vegas beats them because of the goaltending.
Yeah.
Edmonton's goaltending has been awful. Like nothing short of awful. They have a game or two where it's good, and then after that it's bad. And there's really going to be a toss-up. One. You don't know.
Yeah.
Because Jari's had been bad, and then at points Ingram has been bad.
Mm-hmm.
There's no telling who's going to be.
That's always a concern with me is like the goaltending in Edmonton, definitely. But if defense comes around a little bit, like their defense is starting to play. I'll mention this later. Defense is starting to play a lot better in the last 6 games, and so maybe things will start picking up that way. But the playoffs are all.
If anything happens to Oilers, though, that's literally the reason why is because of the goaltending.
Yeah,
because that's it.
And if the Oilers get bounced in the first round, and if Bowman doesn't get bounced himself, then he better find a goaltender for next season, or else they're not going to go anywhere without having a solid goaltender. They can have Ingram. Ingram's good, but he's number one not yet. So we'll see if they can what they can do, because that's what they have. There's nothing they can do now. This is what their team that they're going with. If Jari can get his head out of his ass and play like he can, maybe start winning.
Trade of the century. Trade of the century. Trade of the century.
Yeah, and no. So, all right. So that's what the playoff scenarios look like as of today. I want to talk to you, Carson, and get your opinion on the bottom 4 teams in the league are the Rangers, Chicago, Calgary, and Vancouver. Of those 4 teams, who needs that number 1 pick in the NHL draft the most? I'm saying Vancouver. Like needs that number 1 pick.
Needs?
I think Calgary
needs Vancouver, but deserves it probably Calgary. Yeah. Because Vancouver had Quinn Hughes and they wasted that. They had JT Miller. Okay, I know he hasn't been playing that great, but that got kiboshed, and Elias Pettersson's played like garbage. They've had a lot of these top end talent players, and they've done nothing with them. I think Calgary deserves to get something. Look at the Rangers. The Rangers had Lafreniere. He's been not as advertised. They had Breadman that went to poo. They had brought in guys like Tarasenko and Panarin, and they have Zibanejad, and that's done nothing. Who else did you say?
Chicago.
I mean, that would be good too for them, I guess. But
it would be good. It would be good, but
But again, they've had Bedard for how long, and they've done nothing to build around him.
They've done nothing. So I'm still thinking with Vancouver would need it the most. But yeah, Calgary probably deserves it the most.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to some other news from the NHL. Austin Matthews out after a knee check last week. He had MCL surgery. He's going to be out, of course, the rest of the year, but they say he should be ready by training camp. With him being out, are the Leafs completely done?
Oh, they're done. That's it. They're done. They've been done. I think they haven't been doing that well. They've just been losing a lot, and there's no energy. There's no spark to that team. The Leafs are done.
Yeah.
And that's not just this season. The Leafs are done entirely.
Yeah.
They pinned all their hopes for so many years on that core four, and it blew up in their face. And really, they got rid of the wrong guy.
Yeah, they did.
The fans can say they did it, and they really did, because Mitch Marner was really the only difference on that team that's not there.
Yeah.
And they're doing awful. I think, like I've said for years, we've said it for years, the leadership on that team is non-existent. The Leafs have just given up. They've given up. They know they're done. They're just going out there and doing cardio, and they really have nothing to look forward to because they don't really have any big draft capital, and they don't have much cap space because of all the money they're giving these guys. They've probably got one of the worst situations out of all the teams in the NHL right now, because they're not going to have a great pick. They're going to miss the playoffs, and they've pinned their hopes for so many years on something that has not delivered them any goodness besides one playoff series win.
Yeah, I think the Leafs are done. They have to go do a complete rebuild and
they got to start from scratch again.
Yep.
And I mean, you can't, at some point, going through all the general managers that they have, all the coaches they have, that at some point that can't be the excuse. Okay, they ran Kyle Dubas out, whatever. He came to Pittsburgh and has rebuilt that team the way that a team should be built. And the Leafs, to credit of Dubas, he got a lot of those guys in there. But then now they had the opportunity to change course, and they didn't, and it hasn't paid off at all. I'm surprised, honestly, with where they're at. I thought they were going to be a playoff team, and they're not going to be. They're going to be at the bottom.
They were going to be out even with Matthews.
Oh yeah, that team had nothing. They literally had nothing going. They had no energy going. We just like hating on the Leafs because the Leafs are just presented like some golden child.
Yep.
And they're not.
The Leafs
haven't done anything to be worthy of that kind of treatment, because they play good in the regular season except for this year. All these accolades, okay. You win your division, whatever. You get Matthews 60 some odd goal seasons, but where are the championships? Where are your playoff series wins? Where they fall apart at the wrong time. And I feel bad for those fans, because for those loyal fans that really cheer on the Leafs every game and they have to keep watching them fail, it's got to be maddening. But it's, for other outside fans, it's enjoyable because they pin their hopes and everybody can see what the problem is, but they get rid of the wrong guys and they try the wrong things, and nothing has worked. They're mixing oil and water.
So Leafs are done, and the last thing I have is what we already had mentioned: the Avs becoming human. They have a weakness. They could be surprised in the playoffs, and I think Dallas is a better overall team than Colorado is.
They've fallen off a little bit. I mean, thank God, good for them. They had the start they did, because that pretty much locked them in the playoffs. Yeah. But I'll talk about this when we talk about Pittsburgh. But I mean, that game the other day, crazy. The Avs gave up so many chances, and really the Penguins didn't have that many shots, but they were all golden chances.
Yeah,
that's not Colorado Avalanche hockey.
No. Well, let me start with our week that was. The week that was for the Edmonton Oilers. They're right now 34-26-9, second in the Pacific, a point back at Anaheim for first, and a point up on Vegas. The record since last week's show is 2-1-1. They lost to Dallas last Thursday, humiliating loss 7-2.
That was bad.
In overtime, they lose to St. Louis 3-2. They beat Nashville 3-1 at home Sunday, and then they beat San Jose here Tuesday night 5-3. Leon Draisaitl injured in that game against Nashville, checked into the board at the Oilers bench, suffered a lower body injury. Be out the rest of the season, but the good news is no surgery required, and should be ready to go for the playoffs. Now, last year, the Oilers were without him for the last 11 or so games of the season and went 5-1. So, and I was seeing something like, could Draisaitl being injured be a blessing in disguise? He's going to get some rest. He should be set and ready to go for the playoffs and be in Draisaitl mode by the time they get there. But you never want to see one of your star players.
That was kind of an awkward play too. Awkward.
It was very awkward play. He tried to come back, but he did a couple of shifts, but I think they told him to shut it down. And now, you know what? It's kind of like the next man up. You guys got guys like Hyman's playing really well. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Podkolzin, Kapanen, Roslovic. They got to pick up the slack. And so far, the bench has been scoring more. I see I see Podkolzin really is stepping up with.
Yes, he's been playing really well.
I think Pods is really coming into his own as a player, and I think he's going to be a good step in for Leon being out for the next rest of the regular season. Now, the goaltending has improved with Ingram taking over as the number one spot. I'm not saying it's great, but it's improved since the Dallas games. Since the Dallas game, the Oilers have given up 3 goals or less.
That was a bad game.
And the addition of Murphy and Dickinson has been a plus. Fewer mental mistakes from the D, but I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying it's better than it has been earlier in the season.
Average, adequate.
Yeah, average. McDavid keeps rolling right along, leading the NHL in assists with 78 and points with 115. Right now, the Oilers are playing Florida in the second period, and Florida has a 2-0 lead on Edmonton. So that's the first of the Florida teams coming in. They'll play Tampa Bay Saturday night, Utah next Tuesday, and then in Vegas a week from tonight. So that's where the Oilers stand as we head into the last, I think, 15 or 16 games of the regular season. Okay, so now, how's things going in Pittsburgh?
They're still second in the division, but I mean, like I said, that race is very tight for those spots. They played 4 games since we last spoke. So they played Thursday night against Vegas, Saturday in Utah against the Mammoth, Monday in Colorado against Avalanche, and then last night they played against the Canes. They started off against Vegas, just a very kind of sloppy game. You know, they turned the puck over too many times, and every time pretty much they turned it over, Vegas was scoring, and Vegas won 6-2. The Penguins outshot them, but I mean, yeah, they were shooting themselves in the foot. They would cut the lead to 1, and then they would turn the puck over after like a minute or 2 and give up a goal, and it's like great, like just they just never were on their game. You could tell. And so then they went to Utah and had a bad start. They gave up 2 goals before the first commercial break, and it was 2-0 Utah. And then the second, the Penguins really got pretty fortunate. They got a lot of power play opportunities, and eventually on a 5-on-3, Anthony Mantha scored to bring it 2-1. Then they tied the game 5-on-5 after like a minute or 2. Go to the third, they get a power play goal to take the lead, but then Utah ties it. And then halfway through, Machari scored to make it 4-3, and they win. They hold on and win that game. Big win with how they celebrated at the end of that game. They were all jumping into Stu because he made plenty of big saves at the end of that game to keep him in. And then they headed to Colorado in a game that they probably shouldn't have won, and they dominated the Avalanche. I mean, that was a crazy game, especially the first period. I mean, classic Gino takes a penalty at the beginning of the game, comes out of the box, scores, spin around a backhand goal. Bye. Okay, and his first game back from suspension, and then the Avs tied it, but then the Penguins get a 4-1 lead in the first period. Then the Avalanche got one back, but then the Penguins just took it over. I mean, they ran over the Avalanche. The Avalanche only had 8 shots after the first period, so I mean, they really didn't get much going in the second and third. And then finally, they capped off their 5-game road trip last night against the Canes. I feel like every season they have to play 4 times in the matter of like 5 days. Well, the Penguins came back 4 different times in the game to tie the game, and ultimately took the lead, but they ended up losing in overtime, 6-5. That's just a not friendly building for them. They just have not won a game there in 8 years. They haven't won a game in Raleigh. That's a long time, and they've lost a lot of times in extra time. They had their chances to win it. Now with that game, kind of frustrating because the Canes have been flopping around the ice a lot whenever they're playing, and it's like they're getting, and the Penguins have more power plays, don't get me wrong, but the Canes, when they're getting calls, are getting them because they're flopping around. And I feel like, too, this is my opinion, the referees, I feel like, are intimidated by Rod Brindamore going crazy on the bench anytime that they call a penalty on them. And so anytime a penalty is called on them, I think the referees put the whistles away against them, or just look for something that they can blow on, they can call on, and call it. And it's annoying.
Yeah. Personally,
I don't like that. I feel like it's an intimidation thing because they're scared of him yelling at them all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like last night they missed a bad, and overtime, a breakaway for Ben Kindle, and he got hooked pretty bad. And the stick nearly came up and got his face, and nothing. And then the Canes scored right after that. But regardless, the Penguins get resilient. That's what I can call them about the season is resilient. Anytime they're down, they're pretty much coming back and taking the lead or tying the game and going to overtime. They're two extra time losses away from matching their franchise record of 18 SOLs or OTLs in one season. And you know what? As annoying as it is, yeah, that they're losing like that, they're getting the points. And that's what's keeping them in this race. That's what's keeping them in it and where they're at. They have not moved out of that second spot in a while. Now, I mean, at this point, they've just got to keep stacking wins, stacking points. They've kind of got they've had a weird March where they feel like they've played the same teams over and over again. They played the Canes 3 times this month. They played the Avalanche twice this month. They played the Vegas Golden Knights twice this month. Like it's just tons of repeats. They play Washington twice in a row. They play Florida twice in a row. So it's just a bunch of playing the same team over and over again. But 14 games left, and I think if they just stay at 500, they'll be in. But for the East, this year's cut is going to be one of the highest we've probably ever seen to make it. It's probably going to be close to 100 points that you need to get in.
Yeah.
But now coming up this week for the Penguins, they play 4 games between now and when we go back on again. They have a back-to-back this weekend, home against the Jets on Saturday, and then home against the Hurricanes on Sunday. You'd like to take advantage of a Jets team that's pretty much out of it and not playing that great. The Canes, they're going to be playing Saturday as well, so both teams will be coming off of a Saturday game. The Penguins beat them when they came to Pittsburgh this year, so that's their time to get it done. And then they play on Tuesday against the Avalanche again, this time at home, and then they go to Ottawa to play the Senators, so another unfriendly building for them. But now they're pretty much at full strength. Sid returned. 11 games he missed, and he was deemed good to go last night against the Canes. He had a pretty good game, had a goal and an assist in that. Now it's his time to step in and do what he does best, and that's lead this team.
Yeah.
They look kind of rusty on the power play yesterday, but I mean, that's a unit that hasn't played together in a while. They're shaking it off. I think they know what they need to do, and they need to go out there and win. And for right now, they're doing a pretty good job of it. And if they're not winning, they're getting points. That's going to be the important part.
That's the thing. Like people go, well, they lost. Well, okay, if they lose in overtime, they still get that point.
Well, and people do get upset about that loser point, but it's part of the rules. It's part of the standings. So until it's not, you're going to be mad, of course, that you didn't win, but you're getting points. And it's crucial on nights like tonight. Okay, like we're the Islanders. You're 12 seconds away from getting a point, and you don't get it.
Yep.
That point may be the reason they don't get in. You never know. You really don't until it comes down to it.
It used to be in the NHL where a tie would end in a tie and both teams would get a point. Like they wouldn't go into overtime. So at least this way, you're going into overtime. Somebody's going to get the extra point, but you still get the point.
And one thing I would really like them to look at eventually is a rule change. If there is ever a tie for the last spot, they should have another game.
Like a play-in game like they do in baseball.
Right. Like a play-in game to see who's going to get it.
Yeah.
Because to me, I mean, the Penguins are in a good spot with where they're at because the tiebreaker is regulation wins and they have more than other teams that are trailing them. Yeah. But imagine if you had an 83rd game for what team's going to play in the playoffs.
That would be great. That would be exciting. Like have a play-in game.
But yeah, that's where they're sitting at. I mean, they've exceeded expectations. They've already passed how many points they had last season already. So they're doing really well. I'd like to see them get 100 points, but more importantly, I just want to see them stacking wins. Maybe going like the rest of the season, a 2-1 stretch every 3 games, and I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap things up for tonight's show. I want to thank Jamie from Washington.
Thanks, Jamie. We appreciate you.
And Rachel joining us tonight on Facebook. This replay will be available on both Facebook and our YouTube page here in just a little while. If you have any kind of comments, you can always join us live and we can make comments about is your team a playoff team, a bubble team? Maybe they're going to be a draft team, a lottery team. What do you think about your team, your chances? Who do you think?
I think the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to get the first pick.
Yeah. Who do you think ultimately is going to win the Stanley Cup this year? And
the Buffalo Sabres.
From you. Either you can.
The Buffalo Sabres are winning it.
Oh, I tell you what,
I wouldn't be upset if they won. I would not be upset if they won.
Last year would have been people would have laughed at you. Not this year. This is a good Buffalo
They're a good team.
You can message us both on our Facebook pages, or if you want to do it on the YouTube as well. We'd love to hear from you. Love to be able to have you join us. Sign up, subscribe on our YouTube channel, Best Boys Center Ice Podcast on YouTube. And again, Carson, great stuff. Again,
Yep.
You're the Travis Kelce of flag football, playing a little tight end there for US. It's the USAA.
Yeah,
team.
USA intramural football.
So he's a multi-sport athlete.
I'm multi-dimensional.
Bowling, golf, and now football. All right, so we'll be back next Thursday night, back to our regular time unless something happens. But usually we're pretty good to go next Thursday at 6:30.
Yep.
And like I always like saying, in Carson's favorite time of the show, in the meantime and in between time, everybody have a great hockey night.
Mm-hmm.